Okay, we're all recovered from the emotional hell that the Vikings put me through there. So, where do we begin? Because this game and everything we talked about completely changed in the last 5 or 6 minutes of that game and overtime, obviously. Um, so yeah, I don't even know where to begin. I guess I'll just start with what what was kind of the story of the game most of the way, which is the defense. Zimmer's defense was great, and I know they weren't playing a great offense, and McCaffrey was out, but like they were absolutely terrorizing Sam Darnold. I mean, the first play of the game, they get the interception, um, and you know, it kind of just went from there. Like they were pressuring really well the whole game till the very end. Um, Everything has to have the little the thing till the very end. But I mean, I was surprised that was the only interception they got. I mean, they kind of had their hands on one or two others, but and they obviously got a strip sack. But I'm almost surprised they didn't get more turnovers because they were really harassing Darnold the whole game, and they were sticking on coverage because they we've seen so many times against us where a team's able to get a lot of pressure just running their front four out there so they can drop everyone back in coverage. This time we kind of got to do that and covered well. I mean, they were and there were some drops. There were some drop passes. We do have to acknowledge that, but they weren't getting anything done in the passing game. We were holding them down pretty good in the run game. Um, I'm sure the longest run of the game was that Darnold run. I mean, um, but they were doing pretty damn well across the board on defense. Um, what was it? Breland got the pick. I'm not sure who got the credit on the one strip sack. It might have been Tomlinson was involved. I'm not sure if he got the sack or just the recovery or whatever. But and then I forget who got the. There was that other fumble on the reception, and I forget who got that, but maybe Dantzler. I mean, the defense played very well. This was, until the very end. So for like 3 2/3 quarters, it was another really, really good game by a defense that has been just getting much, much better week after week after week. And I think that they have become a very formidable defense. And frankly, they've done it, I think, faster than I even thought they would. I thought it would be further into the season before they were capable at all of holding, any team, you know, any team down. Um, but really, since like the first half of Seattle, they'd been great until the very end today. Um, and the offense, look, if you just go into the game saying we're going to score 28 points, we're going to put up over 500 yards of offense. Now, granted, some of that was an over. You had to get to overtime to get there, but even say 450 on offense, 28 points. Kirk's going to throw for another really good stat line, really over 300 yards, multiple touchdowns, no picks. I don't believe he got sacked. There were only a couple times where he was even really in danger. There was the one where I think it was at the end of regulation, where he kind of scrambled away, and then there was one or two others where he kind of got pressured. But you know, you're gonna have good pass protection for the most part. You're gonna end up. I don't know what they ended up with totals on the ground. I mean, I know Cook ended up well over 100 yards, and again, some of that was in overtime. But um, you know, you do all that. I think anyone would have taken that. And that's it's just weird that it's so bizarre that it even came to where it did. But um, and fuck you. You don't want to see him out. You never want to see him on the field, but man, our punter is good. Like he got the one blocked, but that ain't his fault. The guy just he had a completely unblocked guy rushing in on him. But I mean, they hold on in regulation. One of the things is, wow, what a punt to pin him inside the fucking 5. But you know, I think people have unrealistic expectations. Sometimes they expect, like just like last week, they expect it's an automatic that you're just going to blow a team off the field. Just like today, you think you're just going to automatically blow a team off the field. Yeah, you can have blowouts in games, but that's just not how it works. A lot of times, the games you think are going to be the big blowouts are not the big blowouts, and the games maybe you don't think are going to be the big blowouts were. Like fucking Baltimore blew the hell out of the Chargers today. Nobody's thought that was going to be a blowout, but that's just how it works sometimes. Um, so I think if people were expecting them to go, say whatever you want about the Panthers, they're probably not a playoff team, but they're a very legit defense at least. Like you watch that game today, like they have a legit defense. They're a good defense. They are very good in the secondary. They tackle well. They're stout, very stout. So it's all the more impressive to kind of do what you do on offense against a defense like that, and you do it when you're kicking yourself and shooting yourself in the foot um, with penalties and questionable play calling and other things. And obviously like the fumble that led to the first Panther touchdown, that was a blunder, but you know you know and maybe they never will put it all the way together, but like overall I think you got to be very happy with the offense, what they did today. Yes, situational stuff matters, and they stalled out. Like they get the interception, start the game, they stall out, only get a field goal. But it's not like it didn't have the feel of some of these other games where maybe they're not even trying to capitalize all the way. Like that, you know, there was the one play where Udo steps or trips up Kirk. You see on the replay, Thielen is like streaking across the back of the end zone wide open. That's going to be a touchdown. And um, there were one or two other instances where they took shots into the end zone. They just didn't connect. There was one to Jefferson. I know that didn't connect. Like they were taking chances. It's not even like they were being ultra conservative again. They were at times, and sometimes I think that's okay. Like again, end of the first half today, they kind of took a little bit of a shot, and then I think that was when they had like a Bradbury holding penalty, and that just killed the drive. And it's like, okay, we'll run out the clock. Like maybe it's just baby steps, but they were at least a little more, um, you know, maybe not even aggressive, just less conservative. They were taking some shots. Um, and yeah, you settled for a couple of field goals that, if one of those is a touchdown, the end of this game is very different. You know, ultimately, fuck that thing where they got the first touchdown, Chris Herndon, redemption, Chris Herndon. They get that touchdown, and then there's a roughing penalty on the play. So they decide to go for two. They probably never go for two if not for that penalty. That penalty ends up benefiting the Panthers because we go for two, we don't make it, and then they're chasing the two after that. I mean, and they should have got it. I mean, fuck. That was just an amazing play to get that tackle on Dalvin. He looked like he had that edge, and he was going to get that easily. And again, if you just get that one play, the end of this game is very different. But it's just. I think the thing that can drive people nuts, and drove me nuts a little bit today, is just the inconsistency of just their approach, drive to drive, even. Because you saw it after the block punt. All the momentum is going the other way. Like, oh my God, this is a disaster. We had a bad drive to start the third quarter. Then we get a block punt for a touchdown. So, oh my God, what's going on? And then they go out and they go boom, boom. Like they go right down the field and score a touchdown. And then I think it was the next drive, then they go score another touchdown. It's like that woke them up or something. It's like, the game is now teetering. You're trailing in the second half now on the road. Like, let's go. And I don't know if it's just the people who rip on Zimmer think that Mike Zimmer is telling Clint Kubiak or telling Kirk Cousins or telling everybody that he doesn't want to put up points. That's nonsense. Of course he wants to put up points. It's just the approach is weird. I don't really understand how the, the inconsistency of approach from drive to drive. Like, why are you only why did it take, hey, a block punt touchdown just happened on you, and now you're trailing it. Now you got to get going. Well, you could have gotten going earlier too. you know. And some of it's penalties, like that. They had the thing this, with this game, it was similar to that Week 1 game where you're having these really bad penalties on the offensive line, and it's killing drives. I mean, they had one that at one point they were like 3rd and 30 almost with penalties and stuff. It just got ridiculous. You know, um, so that can affect what your play calling is. But you know, and overall, I'm not really down on Kubiak, other than just his incredible love of wide receiver screens. Like, I know a couple of them worked out today, but most of them didn't, and I really wish he would just not rely on that so much. And I know some of that is like, hey, you're trying to spread out the defense. You want to get the ball, force the issue to get the ball in your hands of guys like Thielen and Jefferson, and there's nothing wrong with that in theory. But I would not. I would be fine if the love of wide receiver screens was kind of tamped down. Um, but and again, they get the block punt for a touchdown, but the Vikings were just on fire for most of the second half after that. Like, defense was just going crazy. Offense really moving the ball. They ran it much better in the second half. I was thinking they should almost sit Dalvin. Um, because it just, like, watched him in the first half. He didn't even look like he was close to his normal self, and I was like, if he can't be Dalvin Cook or close to what you expect of him, he maybe even shouldn't be out there. But I'm an idiot because hell, he ran great in the second half, and he had one or two big runs in overtime. So apologies to Dalvin Cook for doubting you. And now you get to rest up for 2 weeks and get ready for these tough games. Um, and even then, later on, then you get they play it kind of a little safer at 28-17, try a field goal. Probably shouldn't have tried it in retrospect. I didn't think it was a very good idea to try it anyway, because taking the score from 11 to 14 doesn't do a whole lot for you. Um, and if maybe if you just punted it there, then they don't get any sense of momentum, and then you're not kind of hanging by the skin of your teeth. But and then even after that, like when they got the field goal to make it an 8-point game, then boom, they forced the issue. They hit a big play to Conklin. But then it's like, as soon as they cross the 50, then they get real conservative again. It's this inconsistency of what you're doing that I think drove me nuts. It drives some people nuts, because it's not like people just put it all under this umbrella of, oh, Zimmer's too conservative. But he wasn't today. Like, there were a lot of instances where he was not conservative. Even the last touchdown, like that was like a third down, I think, or at least a second down, and you're chucking a ball deep, like when you're already when you're moving the ball, like that was a risk. That could have been an interception, or something bad could have happened, but you forced the issue and you won it. And it's not like they were trying to just, what was it, the Jacksonville game last year where they were in overtime and they got the ball and they just kept handing the ball off. I think they had like 12 straight runs on a drive, something like that. They weren't doing that. That's why it's even more frustrating that it got to where it got, because they were being they were kind of doing. Maybe they weren't doing it enough to satisfy everybody. Although you're never going to satisfy the anti-Zimmers at this point. Um, but you know, they were going for it more. They were pushing the ball down the field more. Maybe they weren't doing it enough. Maybe they weren't always doing it at the right times. You know, and again, like I said, I think some of it was the penalties kind of killing them in a few instances, and also, when you're up multiple scores in a fourth, well into the fourth quarter, yeah, you're probably not gonna go, for broke as much, and people automatically think that's the wrong thing to do. I don't think that it is necessarily the wrong thing to do. Um, Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. But obviously, the way everything was handled today, it ended up with the game in overtime. So maybe I guess it just nothing was right. But you know, I mean, if you just look at the list of some of the things that happened in this game, it's unfathomable to me that this game even got into overtime. But and I don't know what happened. I haven't listened to any of the Zimmer stuff. He's talked about what he was doing with those last couple of defensive series. Like, even you give up a 96-yard drive in the final 2 minutes. It didn't seem like they were playing prevent to me. I mean, like, he hits one big shot over the middle on that fourth down, and then it seemed like they were playing to me, it looked like they were playing like their regular defense, and maybe they just got beat, and maybe the calls were not right, and I don't know. Like, obviously, like the touchdown, the guy was wide open, and they give up to set up the touchdown, they give up a pass inside the 10. Like, I don't know. I don't know if these were just, hey, these guys are just making plays on you, or if the calls were bad, because it didn't seem like prevent defense to me. And who knows if this is when you talk about you need luck. Some idiot was arguing with me on Twitter today about you know wins don't count if the winning team has good fortune go their way. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? That's every game. I mean, we had good fortune. That if that coin lands on heads in overtime, it's possible we never touch the ball. With the way the defense was reeling at that point, and maybe we do, and maybe we still win. But like, you need good fortune like that, and luckily we called tails. Tails never fails. And I'm sure there's talk. I've really listened to nothing post game wise so far, and so I haven't heard a lot of talk about it. I'm sure people are ripping Greg Joseph because he missed that kick at the end of regulation, and he had obviously missed the one earlier. Like, guy's gonna miss some kicks. It's not like because he hit the one against Detroit last week that he's suddenly never gonna miss a kick. Like, it's gonna happen. From the replay that I saw, the one at the end of regulation, he didn't miss it by much. It was very close. Yeah, you're supposed to hit it, but a lot of guys don't hit it. How many fucking kicks were missed in the NFL last week? Like 20? Like, this is just how it is now with kickers. And I don't think I think it's unfair to constantly have Greg Joseph be put in this position where he's got to make all these clutch kicks, or you might lose a game. I don't think it did him any good to, like the one where they were up 11 and they go for a long field goal. Like, I didn't think it was even worth it. Like, but and yeah, you wish he made the one at the end of regulation. You wish that had happened, but like, I don't know. I'm not. He hit the one last week and saved possibly some jobs, and like, we've seen him hit clutch field goals. It's not like he missed the one in Arizona and then he missed Detroit and then he missed this one. We've seen him hit some clutch ones. He hit the one to send it to overtime in Cincy. He obviously hit the one last week. He's hit some other big ones. and he missed today. He'll you know what? Since they seem bound and determined to have every game be like a you know a one-score game deep into the fourth quarter, he's probably going to have to kick some more very important field goals throughout the year, and some of them he'll probably make, and some of them he'll probably miss, and that's just going to probably be how it is. Um, Hopefully they don't get themselves in these spots anymore, although it seems unlikely that they won't. Um, but I'm not down on Joseph because he missed that kick. I mean, like, yeah, it's an outdoor one on grass. It's makeable. Like, you know, hell, Kirk did a hell of a job getting him in that spot. I mean, you know, they had what 40 seconds left. They get the ball. He gets them in range for a 45-yard field goal. Like, he did what he had to do, just like he did what he had to do in Arizona to get him in the spot, and Joseph didn't do it. Um, you know, and that's too bad. But it's like the one thing that was worth it going overtime is we got to have a big Kirk game-winning, no doubt game-winning touchdown drive. And again, you can say what you want of the Panthers as an overall team, but that's a very good defense that Kirk led that touchdown drive against, and threw that amazing pass to KJ to win it. Like, give him his fucking credit. I mean, and I know he's never gonna win over the Kirk Cousins derangement syndrome crowd. It's never gonna happen. I mean, they're off his back a little bit lately because the anger seems to be much more directed towards Zimmer lately. But there's still the haters. There were I mean, the play in the first half where it was probably going to be a touchdown to Jefferson. He was wide open and he missed the throw because he was kind of pressured, and he kind of threw it off. I mean, you knew the Kirk haters were just drooling over that, and they were hoping that was going to end up being the play of the game that they could look back on. And Kirk had a couple of plays that weren't great today. I mean, he had the one where I think he was pump faking, and the ball slips out of his hands, and people thought it was a fumble at first. He wasn't perfect, but I mean, look at the fucking numbers he put up on the road against a really good defense, even with his offensive line occasionally putting him in some bad spots. But they were pass protecting pretty well for him. You know, like he's Kirk is giving this team all the reason to trust that he can get it done this year, because he got it. He was leading a game-winning drive in Cincy, and then they call a phantom fumble, and that's it. He leads a drive to win the game in Arizona. Kicker shanks the fucking kick. He's awesome against Seattle. Is absolutely bulldozed by his offensive line against Cleveland, and even there, maybe if you call a fucking penalty in the end zone that you should have, maybe they even somehow pull that one out. Disasters happened last week. You got 30 some seconds left. He gets them in range for the field goal, and this time Joseph kicked it, and it was good. And today he led two. He leads the one at the end of regulation, which could have won it, didn't. And then he trots right back out there in overtime, hits a couple big throws, hits an amazing throw to win the game. Like, and then the haters will say, "Oh, he's just 3-3." Some of these other quarterbacks, they never have to deal with the worry of a kick being missed. And even if they do, like Green Bay last week, they get like 3-4 chances at it. That just doesn't ever happen with Kirk. And if the fucking overtime coin toss goes the other way, he maybe never even touches the ball in overtime, and then he lost the game. It's amazing how that works, but I don't know. I'm baffled by the meltdown at the end of the game by the defense, because I had no worries at 28-17. Even after they missed that field goal, I had no worries, because I was like, this defense has been so good. There's no reason to think that they're going to suddenly implode, because they've been destroying Darnold all game long, and it was unfathomable to me that that they could do anything. Now he gave him a short field on a missed field goal, and then I think it was the very first play Darnold has that long run, which was kind of ridiculous. But um, you know, it's like that shouldn't have happened. I'm sure I didn't. I'm sure that'll be broken down like who screwed up. But you know, but even then they kind of buckled down, held to a field goal, and probably should never have touched the ball again. I mean, I know, like that was another one I thought we were, that we were definitely too conservative. We hit that long play to Conklin after that, and then they just kind of sit on it, almost like they were conceding, like, well, maybe we'll try another long field goal or we'll punt. And I think that was a mistake, like obviously. Now I did think on the third down play where they ran it for like nothing, it looked pretty fucking obvious that there was an offsides. They didn't call it, but it would have only been like 3rd and 5 or something. So who knows? But it's just weird, the inconsistency of why sometimes they'll be very conservative and other times they'll very much go for it, and sometimes it alternates on the drive, on a single drive. And I'm not one of these people who believes that every single offensive play should be a 30-yard pass somewhere. You can't do that. But like sometimes it's game situations dictate things, and sometimes it's just how you're playing, who you're playing, how the defense is playing. All these things factor in. But it damn near bit him last week, and it damn near bit him again today. And if you can defend a 4th and 10 from the fucking 4-yard line, a lot of this doesn't even need to be talked about, because hey, how often is that going to fucking happen, that you're going to give up a 96-yard drive when your defense has been playing great? And I think it's too bad that another great performance by this defense imploded right at the end there like that. I think overall you can still feel pretty good about it, but and even like you say, oh, you gave up 28 points. Well, 7 of that was on a block punt, and 7 of that was from the Jefferson fumble that they had it very deep in our end. So, but I mean that counts too. Like, just because they get the ball in a short field doesn't mean we did that. Of course, we did that last week too. After the Madison fumble, then they gave up a touchdown pretty easily. Kind of, I don't know if that's like just a thing where like you're not expecting to go back out on the field at that point, and you do, and but I think the defense, for most of the game played another really, really good game. And yeah, it's the you weren't playing a great team, but I don't have a doubt that when they come out of the bye that they're going to be able to hold their own against a Dallas, who I'm watching right now, or Baltimore or Chargers or whoever. Like, I think they can at least hold their own against even the best offenses they have left to play. So it's really going to come down to what our offense does. And I still absolutely think the best of this team is in its future this season. I don't think they've played at their peak yet. I don't think the Seattle game was their peak. And I don't think like the first couple quarters this, 3.5 quarters this game was their peak. I think they have another gear, and I'm curious to see what that is. Like, I said this before, trying to be nice about Kubiak, because he is a first-time play caller, and there have been things that we've seen that are good, but there's also been things we've seen that are not good, and it's kind of bizarre how the back and forth with all of it. I think in general, I'm going too long on this. I promised I was gonna wrap this up quickly. So I think what's good for the team, fans, everybody, is to just have a breather now. Like I think we all need to buy. I need to buy. These 5 of the first 6 games this year have been a fucking, have been very, very stressful. And even the Seattle game was not like unstressful. you know, you know, it's just we see a lot of like just chaos in games, like whether it's penalties, whether it's wild swings of motion, like the last two games now, where you have games seemingly in hand and then they're not in hand. You know, I mean, I'm a Zimmer guy. There's definitely stuff that needs to be fixed up as far as you know, just like overall game management. Like they always talk about like finishing the game. That's Zimmer's talked about that for years. Finishing the game when you got to lead. He used to be very very good at that. Like that was that some of the years of Zimmer, even non-playoff years, they get like they have like a fourth quarter lead. Boy, they're great at just salting that thing away. And this is 2 weeks in a row where they didn't salt it away. And you know, Joseph saved their ass last week, and maybe a coin toss saved their ass this week. Um, and yes, the quality of opponents the last 2 weeks is not on par with the quality of opponents that you're going to face after the bye. But again, I don't see the Vikings as being a team that is peaked at by any means. And I think they can play with these teams. They played with Arizona in Arizona's stadium, and last I saw, Arizona was winning again, so they might still be undefeated. Like, they can play with any of these teams. They have to play better. They have to, play, much more mistake-free. I mean, you can look at it that, when you commit the penalties they do and get a punt blocked on you, and you still get out of a road game with a win like that. Like no one's gonna turn down the win. Like I won't turn down the win. I'm glad they won. You know, but there's like 2 points to it. It's like glad we won. Gotta get better. And I'm sure that's what Zimmer's was telling everyone after the game. I'm sure that's what he'll tell them, after the bye when they all come back. That they've done a lot of good things so far. We wish it was more than 3-3. I mean, I guess it can go both ways now. We've won like 2 games that very easily, or at least pretty easily, could have been losses, and we lost 3 that maybe could have been wins. So, kind of cuts both ways. But I think I still think they're, they are a good team. I think this is a playoff team. I think they're going to do better after the bye than a lot of the doomsayers want to believe. But no more chaos. We got to calm things down a little bit and have just cleaner games, more consistency. The talent is there. The talent on this team is really, really impressive. And I think that we are going to see that. This wasn't like a breakout game, even if it had ended 28-17. I don't think this would have been considered like a breakout game, but I still think their best games that they are going to play this season are ahead of them, and they will have to be given the competition. But none of that was going to matter if they don't get this win today or the one last week. But they got them. Like all I care about ultimately is win the game. They won the games. They've given this heart failure. It's been messy. It's been chaotic. But they got the win. And we get to enjoy this win for 2 weeks, except for the people who don't want to enjoy it because they're bitter assholes. But like, and if nothing else, it was worth it because we got to see a really cool finish. Shouldn't have come to that. I mean, obviously, cool finish last week too. Shouldn't have come to that, but so we get some really fun finishes. Hell, 2 weeks in a row we have walk-off winners. I don't know when the last time that happened. Probably a long time. Neither one of them should have been that, but they were. But I'm going far too long here. This was supposed to be a very short video. But overall, I think for the most part this was a very good game, a very good win. A lot to work on, but we got the win and we can enjoy the bye. And I guess See us next in Halloween night at Purple Palace against the Dallas Cowboys, who I'm watching right now struggle a little bit with the Patriots. Hey, the Patriots, Patriots aren't that great. They can play with Dallas. I think we can too. But what's most important is we are 3-3 and still very much alive for whatever we want to be alive for. Division, playoffs, Super Bowl, everything. Keep dreaming. Not keep dreaming and like it's not that's the wrong way to say it. Don't say keep dreaming. Keep dreaming means is you're fools. Keep the dream alive is what we want to do. We want to keep the dream alive of the Super Bowl run. And I think this is a team that, if they hit their stride, they can do a lot. And I'm now going to stop talking. So, Skull Vikings.